Welcome to Unit 6. In this unit, we're going to have a look at the use of the. What's the problem? It's the overuse of the in legal writing. Why is this a problem? The prepositional phrase of the introduces unnecessary extra words, complicates the structure of your sentence, and causes the reader difficulty in understanding your writing. When you write of the, you automatically have to use a noun. Very often, that noun will be a nominalization. In using nominalizations or other nouns, you often find that you then have to use a string of nouns which are introduced with prepositions and extra words. Of the. I don't really need to explain how difficult that is for a reader to understand. Not only is the reader's understanding affected, but it may cause you as the writer, because you're using of the and other prepositional structures, to use overcomplicated sentence structures, further making the reader's life difficult. In this unit, we focus on of, but the principle of avoiding strings of nouns connected by prepositions can be applied irrespective of the preposition used. What's the solution? Review your writing to find any unnecessary of the prepositional phrases and redraft them. But be aware, not all uses of the are unnecessary. Very often nouns collocate with prepositions, so you need the preposition of. The aim of this unit is to help you identify which ofs you need and which ofs you can think about eliminating. You have to analyse each usage of the carefully. How? Well, take a second to read the example sentence. As you can see, the use of the is prevalent, and therefore we need to redraft this sentence. There are a number of ways in which this can be done. Of the can be replaced by a possessive apostrophe. Before we start to apply this rule, however, I just want to briefly explain something. It used to be the case that when someone was learning English, that they were taught that only animate or living things could possess something, and that non-living or inanimate things couldn't. To show possession for an inanimate object, you would have to use of the. For example, the building's roof is on fire. In the past, this would have been seen as incorrect, as the building is inanimate. The correct answer should be the roof of the building is on fire. However, today, this is seen as a very old-fashioned and antiquated approach to English language, and we can safely dismiss this thinking accordingly. Okay, let's go back to the example sentence and apply the rule. Instead of saying a meeting of the shareholders, we could say the shareholders meeting. Or instead of the capital group of the client, we could say the client's capital group. Of the can be replaced by an appropriate adjective. In this case, we can create an adjective from the nouns which follow the of the. Instead of saying the shareholders of the capital group, we could say the capital group shareholders, where we make capital group a compound adjective. We have to be careful about two things here though. One, we don't want to create strings of adjectives. Sometimes leaving the of the alone is easier for the reader to understand. And two, by creating adjectives from nouns, we then have to think very carefully about the use of articles. The reader only knows to which noun the article is referring when they read the whole sentence. So in the process of reading the sentence, the reader might get confused. In the questions below, we'll meet a few examples of this, and you'll get a chance to practice this rule. Of the can also be replaced by better wording or simply redrafting. We could replace a meeting of the shareholders of the capital group with the capital group's shareholders meeting, which uses two sets of possessive apostrophes. Another example of redrafting could be a meeting of the shareholders of the capital group. In this case, we've removed the of the client structure, as it introduces information which in the context is not necessary. We can safely infer that from the context that it is the client's capital group. You might not be convinced about the changes that I'm proposing, but please bear the following in mind. The use of the is not legal or professional, and it's certainly not professional to have strings of sentences using of the, which you commonly meet in legal writing. Remember that readability and understanding are your main aims. Use your common sense and these 3 ways of removing of the to make your writing easy to follow. Let's quickly recap. 1. Identify the of the structures in your writing, and 2. Challenge them. Can they be replaced by possessive apostrophes? Can they be replaced by using an adjective? Or can they be redrafted? Now we know what the problem is, why it is a problem, and how to fix the problem, we can now test the rule by doing the questions below. However, if you're unsure about any of the points which I've made, please go back and watch the video again. Feel free to pause the video to review all the examples at your own speed. After you do a question below, you can click to see a suggested answer. But just before you get started, please note the following. Please read the question and the hint carefully to make sure you complete the questions properly. Don't just get stuck into the questions, read what you have to do first. In the suggested answer, there may also be further comments to a question, so please read these comments carefully. The suggested answers are just that, suggested. There may be other also correct ways to answer each question. I've tried to put in as many variants as I can, but for obvious reasons I can't write every single correct answer. So as long as your answer follows the main points highlighted in the suggested answer, your answer should be okay. The questions are designed to practice the rules in this unit. So although you can make further corrections to the rest of the text based on the other rules in this course, the answer only concentrates on the rule in this unit. And finally, please don't get lost in the legalities of the question text. It's there only to provide material to practice the rule, not to be a law lesson. All that being said, off you go.